for Permission Talk, and this episode is entitled This Is Us. I am bringing my bestest of bestest friends to the couch. You know what I'm saying? I got Crystal Myers here as well as Keisha Young on the ones and twos. These are friends, long time friends. Keisha, I've known since she was 17.
Yes.
It's been a long time. And Chris, we were like 24-ish, 25?
Something like that. Few babies ago.
Oh man,
a lot of babies.
We believed that we were gonna have all our babies together, and then I left her out there because she kept having babies. But you know, he says, "Be fruitful and multiply." Neither here nor there. This is the power of friendship and community. So it's gonna be all things friendships, community. Really, just wanting to break it down, tear it up. I don't know, maybe.
I feel like good.
You know, y'all. So they told me the icebreaker is rapping. I think I'm just already in my bag of rapping. So let's do it. You know, let's see where it goes.
Chris got the beat.
Okay.
Okay.
Go. Oh, check it. Yo. It's the flow, yo. This is us. Oh, Keisha.
Friendship 101.
Hey.
What you got, Keisha? My name is Keisha. It start with a K. If the hater wanna hate, then the hater walk away. That's all I got.
It's a slay.
Hey. On today, come to Permission Room. I lost the beat. Hey!
I think this is gonna go. As you can see, we have great dynamics. It is always a party when the three of us get together. We have been doing marriage, ministry, singleness, all the things. We've lived a lot of stages and phases, so I believe this is gonna be rich. What we talk about first, Keisha?
What does friendship or true friendship mean to you? Because people have like associates, but not everybody it's like you got your inner circle. Like, what makes a good friend to you guys?
For me, I think someone being honest and willing enough to be honest about where they are. So trust, I think the true essence of, because trust is built on honesty. And I think your ability to bring your full self and not feel like you got to be a counterfeit, knowing what I'm going to get consistently. And it doesn't have to be necessarily who I am and what I like to do always, but just know, like, when I think of Keisha and I think of Crystal, I think of solid, I think of consistent, I think of loyal. Loyal is really big to me. I think because we are pastors and ministers, we've lived through a lot of change, and when I think of you all, I think of steady. That's a really solid place for me, just to know no matter what season or what comes, I know what I'll get when it comes to you two. And so I think y'all are hallmarks when it comes to friendship. I think those two things: authenticity, honesty, and consistency.
Yeah,
I said 2 is 3, but anyway, flow with
me,
you know?
Yeah. I think all of those, and I think for me too, especially as I get like older and like quantity is not as important as quality.
So good.
Someone who creates like a safe space for me to be myself and not have to add anything onto it, and I can like fully share whatever it is that I'm going through, and they hold that safe for me. So like a true friend is someone safe. Like, I don't have to talk to you every day. I don't have to like text you and kiki ka whatever, but like whenever I catch up with you though, like it's a safe place for me to be the authentic version of myself, whatever that is, like whenever that is. So the word that comes to mind is something we use sometimes is low energy. And that just means like I don't have to put on around you. Like I don't have to like, okay, now what are we gonna talk about? It's like we don't think about what we're gonna talk about. It's just if we catch up a lot, we do, we don't, but just being able to be myself and not have to put on or feel like I gotta work to make this something, but that it just can exist and it can be beneficial for both parties and both people feel loved and stuff. So that's friendship at this age, because it has evolved.
Sure.
It has changed. And how has friendship changed? I'm interested for you guys being mothers, right? Were there any changes in friendship? Because I know even like it could be a little awkward for me because I don't have kids. And so it's like, I don't want to hit them up, or like, maybe I want to hang out because I know y'all got a lot going on and stuff like that. But that shouldn't stop you. So how has
friendship evolved?
I love that I have the benefit of being friends with someone that doesn't have children, because one thing that I get to see is, although my demands are there, yours are there, they're different, and having respect for both. One thing that I love, I think, in the dynamics that I have with the friends that I have, is boundaries are okay. Yeah. Boundaries don't mean I don't love you. Yeah. Boundaries are healthy. It helps to set a tone and a pace for life. At the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, do any one of my friends know for sure if they were in a bond that I would be there? Absolutely. Yeah. Me and Chris have many times had to be like, okay, this is the third time, for sure this time we're gonna really catch up, and we've had to be really, really intentional about making that time, whether it was early in the morning or really late at night. We've had to become more creative, but I think that is the truth on all sides. I think many times, no matter what, you can find yourself in a space where if you're not intentional about making time and space for the people that you care about, you can get lulled into just what's going on in your little ecosystem, in your environment, and kind of miss out on pouring into what's most important. Well, I don't want to say most important, but what's also important in friendship. What you think?
I think too, like, I think it's the makings like of a true friend, like, because they understand, like, when it comes to like the boundaries and stuff, like, you don't get offended, you don't feel slighted. It's not like like she don't love me or she don't want to whatever. It's like, no, like, life can be demanding, like, for both of us. Like, it may look different, like what's pulling on you to demand, but like someone who is like a true friend, at least for me, is gonna fully understand, like, no, she loved me, like, she ride with me, but life is life right now. Like, she needs a minute to do it. And it kind of goes with what you said, that the low energy part. Like, when it's a true friend, you don't have to do the extra to try to, like, do all this other stuff on top of everything that's the demand. And, like, your friend is going to understand, like, hey, like, now it's not a good time, but we will get there. Like, we will reconnect. We will reschedule. So, yeah.
And I think being open to ask as well. So, I'm, like, I would say, I think you guys are really good friends. Like, you guys are really good friends to people. No, for real. Like, y'all, like, are very thoughtful, and you remember people and consider and reach out to them. I feel like I struggle in that department. I'm serious. I'm really serious. And I remember, like, you going through something not too long ago, and I reached out and was just, how can I be there? Because I really didn't know. And I think for a long time I allowed the fact of, like, my personality of, like, well, I don't know, and I used to feel shame because I would be like, man, I should have been there for Crystal when this happened, or man, I should have been there for Jackie. And if I felt like I missed that mark, then I would isolate more. But the more I'm, I guess, trying to grow and mature, I'm like, no, like, don't let that stop you. Just ask them, like, really how can I be there even now? Like, what does support look like for you in this season? Because I've never lived through that, but I don't want to allow that to be a blocker for not being there, showing up in some way. So,
and I feel like what you're bringing to the table is what I love about friendship, which is honesty. Because I remember I was actually dealing with the transition of my grandmother. We didn't know, what day she was gonna, transition to heaven. And I remember I was on the highway and getting that call, and I think it was a text, I can't remember, but I remember what it made me feel like. It made me feel love. You didn't have to have the right answer, but you were present. And I think many times people take for granted just your presence. Like, it's not the answer, it's that you're here and that you care. We don't need always, everything to be somebody to always fix it, but your willingness to say, I don't know what to do in this area, but if you could show me how to be present for you, it lends to, I think, something that's fruitful. And I want to kind of go into that a little bit more, because I'm sure many girls watching, people was like, I don't do girls, and I don't, women are catty. Okay, you say even that you used to be one, and I don't know what y'all's first impressions were. Like, was it friendship at first sight? Like, what allowed you to navigate to the point where you're like, oh yeah, these are girls I'm gonna do, like, these my tribe, I'm gonna do this with them. Like,
tell the truth, Crystal.
That part.
Y'all, PJ got this thought that I did not like her when we first met. It's just simply not
I don't think
true.
It was personal.
No, but I think for me, like, I did used to be the one, like, I don't do females, I don't do girls. They catty, they messy, they're petty, like, they talk about you. And I think it was because I did not have, like, true community. Like, it wasn't something that was true for me. Like, I desired it, but didn't even know that I desired it. Like, I wanted to have good friends, but the people that I would call good friends or I was close to, like, I would find out they were talking about me together, like, another conversation. So I just didn't trust females. It was like a thing, and so it kind of became a blanket perspective for kind of all females. And then, like, just with walking with God and seeing other people have friendships, I was like, I kind of want a friend. Like, I want somebody close to, like, I want somebody to be able to text and talk to. Like, I want, like, a friend. And I think that's what kind of, like, opens, like, okay, you got to open yourself up, right?
Sure.
Like, you got to realize every woman doesn't carry that same thing that someone else did in your past.
Sure.
So I think that's how we kind of like got to the point where I was open to be able to do it. And then like, I don't know, you can real recognize real. That's like
Absolutely.
a little saying, but like you pick up on it. And so I don't know, I think that's what it was. Just like recognize authenticity.
You bring up the thing about your willingness to be open. And I think a lot of times when we talk about that whole dynamic of like, it's always the other people. Your willingness to do work as well, because I think friendship is no different than marriage. It is very much so mutual. What you give, what you're willing to pour in, you receive from it. And I think the willingness to like, hey, let me evaluate how I could be better, or the views that I have, or the perspectives that I may have put up that create walls or that make people like not really come toward can be very, very helpful. And so I love that you were even honest about growing in your desire for how you friend. And I think that that's huge too. I don't think many times you hear women. I'm big about personal responsibility. I think that is really big for me, because I think it's what brought about the most change in my life. And so when I think of friendship, most often if I encounter conflict or something I don't like, I always think about how I could have handled the situation better. When you started talking, I actually thought you were going to talk about, there was one time I felt like I had COVID, and I was just like this girl is my whole best friend and I ain't heard from her. And rather than, I think a lot of times we allow our own pride or like, well, they should have known, this whole read your mind. Like, the girl could have been busy, and I understand it, but I wanted to hear from my best friend rather than holding it, my willingness to communicate like, hey boo, like the girl's sick, you want to see how I feel, like am I dying, and I think having that level of openness, like she didn't take offense, she was just like, thank you for communicating, rather than me walking around like, oh, my best friend don't even care. Like, we create these narratives simply because we're unwilling to communicate. And I think communication, or proper communication, is a bedrock for good and healthy community. What y'all feel on that?
It was funny because it helped to just sharpen our friendship, because the next time you got sick, I was like, oh no. I was like, how you feeling, girl? But not because of obligation, but it was because I was like, I was mindful of it. And there's just sometimes different people are mindful of different things, but your ability to communicate it just helps it sharpen and to continue to grow throughout the years. And when you were talking about like being willing to do things and taking personal responsibility, I would be upset. Okay, so I like low energy, but I also like being at home.
That's
and
true.
Because of that, like, I would see people go out and do things, and I wouldn't be there, and I would be offended. And Denar, my husband, was like, Keisha, you can't be upset because you don't put yourself out there to be friendly or to be like, hey, I would like to do that type of stuff too. And so once I started doing that, I got more, invitations like, oh yeah, you want to come to brunch? But it challenged me to just not sit there and just, like you said, be offended or be in my feelings. But it's like, if you want, you gotta be friendly, you gotta be open to doing something different, and not just like looking and being like, well, dang, I'm just being left out just because. So that was another personal responsibility thing that's helped me along this journey.
That just checked me actually while I was sitting here. But I am the person who wants to invite, but wants it so she can tell you no. But there are
really
kind of sometimes it just depends. Like, I want you to want me
is a
there.
mess.
Like,
okay,
one of one.
I want you to want me there, but 9 times out of 10, like, I'm a really prefer to just be on my couch, but I want to be wanted. Like, I want my presence to be wanted. But there are a lot of times where I do want to be there. Like, I do want the thing, and that just kind of checked me, saying like, no, like, you kind of got to put it out there, right? Because I feel like most people get to know you in a certain way, and so they
She's like,
like,
she don't do that.
She's not gonna come. Like, she don't want to come. But no, sometimes I want to come.
We invited you a couple birthday parties,
I always show up to birthday parties, right?
For a little season, but it was really more kid. It was more the new baby, I think.
Okay, thank you.
I gave you that, but I just had to bother you a little bit.
Make sure I get the disclaimer on that. Birthday party.
You had kind of did a hiatus for a while.
I did.
Okay, so let us
turn.
How do you deal with conflict? Let's talk about conflict and friendship, and let's give us an insight when it did not go well, and maybe some things that you learned from that, and a way in which it did go well.
I don't know that I've had conflict as an adult, like a current present day friend, where it didn't go well. I think for the people that I call friends today, so that plays a part into it.
Yeah,
very tight number. I feel like there's a level of communication. I think that's like the foundation of it. It's just like basic communication. and we have an understanding. Like, I understand how they communicate, they understand how I communicate. So I'm able to share what may have offended me or bothered me in such a way that they don't take offense, but it can be a healthy dialogue behind it. I mean, I got some stories from previous days, but I wouldn't count those for today. So, but I think it's all about communication. How you relay the message makes a huge difference in how somebody may take it. And so I try to always be mindful of how I even communicate, regardless of the level of offense that I have on it. So
we have a story outside of college.
Okay,
you remember that? It was about honor, and it was we got into it at the office.
I was literally gonna bring up the office, but I didn't remember the story. But go ahead.
It was us. We went back and forth about something, but in a moment,
we did talk.
Yeah,
it was at Ola Grant.
And like my tone, or just I was dismissive or something, but it was not great in that moment.
Sure.
It was. We both walked away very much in our feelings, and but it was all of that. I don't know if you remember more, but
I don't really. But what I was gonna say, because I was gonna tell them, we have an interesting dynamic because we work together. I'm your pastor. I'm your best friend, and I'm her best friend too, and I'm her pastor. So, but the work together piece, because you have strong feelings, you play a huge role in the ministry, and I think there are times that you have, the heart of the staff and different things like that, and so there are times that we haven't always sat at the same perspective. One thing that I was gonna say that I feel like is very important in friendship with conflict is not just wanting to be heard, but willing to hear. I think that even with me feeling dishonored, not just, okay, I don't feel right about this, but being always willing to hear your heart. I think that is the crutch of marriage, any type of relationship, not just hearing what was heard or what was said, but knowing the heart and the intent. It can absolve so many things that we take personal. It did hurt my feelings, and I'm not saying that you don't address it, that my feelings was hurt, but at the end of the day, does Keisha have my best interest in mind? Does she care about me? And that being the core basis of me knowing anything that you bring toward me is going to be in a heart of love. It might not have come in the right tone, at least allows a foundation of what we've built never to be shaken.
So that you said y'all walked away kind of not in the greatest space. How did y'all come back to resolve that though? Do you remember?
I called her in the room. I was just like, I don't feel like that we have to navigate like this. I think that it's very important that we don't just, and I think that we did for a season. Like, I think there were times where we were very much so like, I don't really sit well with this, that we swept it under the rug. But I think in maturity, as we grew, we learned to understand that we don't necessarily have to sweep it under the rug. She can share her perspective. I can respect it even if I disagree. And we can talk about how we can do it better. And I think we've gotten much better at being more honest and being more vocal about, I don't know about that. And we read each other's body language. I think we're all together way more aware of where each other are. And I think that it plays a role in us doing life better.
So how do you guys see the value of friendship, like with community, as you are a believer? Like, what does that value add for you?
I think that when people isolate and they do life alone, or they feel like they have to carry it on their own, which I'm very hard on one of you all about, it leaves you, it's her, it's Crystal for sure. It leaves you weighted in a way that is not necessary. And I think that God gives us friends to be able to shoulder the weight, even if it's uncomfortable. And I know with the type of personalities each one of us have, I'm speaking from personal experience. My husband was the one who saved me, and so I feel like it's my responsibility to save any of my other sisters, especially the ones with babies, from trying to do it all by themselves, because the necessity to see you in the middle of loving everybody else becomes a huge part in you continuing to grow and become all that God desires. I don't think that you own permission in a continual pattern without you pouring into you, but you can't pour into you without help. And so I think that community is one to wave the red flag, like, hey girl, you drowning over there. I know you think you got it together, but I see signs of you need a break, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So if that means me having 8 kids or however many we got together, I would love to do that, so you can go on a date and be with your, be with your husband and be with friends, so that you can grow. It's important to me. And so so I just think that that's a huge part of being able to shoulder the weight and see each other. I think that we do a really good job of that. In friendship, you can very much so listen to the lies of the enemy and just be like, yeah, you know, the girl, you know, I think I'm cool some days, but most days I'm believing the lies. We are not ones to, like, whether it was you having people comfort you about not being as bubbly as me, you don't have to be as bubbly as me to be used by God. And I really am very protective about how my friends see themselves. And so I'm one to always pour back in affirmation. And so I think that it helps women not to fall into this trap of isolation or feeling insignificant when you have been called on purpose to be what you're supposed to be in. I think I'm always one that's going to challenge my friends up to do that. So
why has that been difficult for you?
Okay.
So I think part of it is even recognizing that it's something that I don't do. And I think that's probably like the big part of it. Like if I have something that is assigned to me to do, like motherhood or whatever, I just do it. Like I don't necessarily think about like what if I had somebody to help me with this, like what space would this create, how would this like open things up for me. I just do it, and then I get to the point of where I am so tired or so exhausted and run down because I did not maybe take advantage of the help. So it's almost like an afterthought type of thing. So it's not something that's like to the forefront until like somebody brings it to my attention. And I think that's another beautiful part of like friendship is like a real friend is gonna like continuously like push you to be the best version of yourself, even like in those uncomfortable things, because it is very much a trait that we have been navigating for years. This is not something new. Like this is something that I've been continuously hearing for a minute now, and so I'm trying to become like more aware of it to take advantage and to not feel like I'm a burden. I think that's another part of it too. Like not recognizing it and not feeling like, okay, this community of people that you've given me, it won't be a burden to him. Like they want to actually help me. Like they want to be there with me.
Like you do for everybody.
But for me, in my head, it's like, oh man, like it's a lot of kids I have to take care of. Like this is a lot for somebody to have to do. So I'm trying to like train my thoughts around what that looks like. So yeah,
I wrestle with the burden part too, especially with you, because it's like I know how much you got going on, and then it's like, and I know you are called to like your daughters and your babies and stuff, and I'm like, Keisha, you don't have 5 years to figure this out, right? Like before you even got here, you need to remember some of the stuff. But again, it will keep me in isolation or blocking to be like, no, just reach out, just to share your heart and be like, this is what I'm believing for. I'm just praying. Can you just stand with me? But that's something that the burden piece of it keeps me in a place of isolation and not reaching out, because I want to be mindful and I want to be, but you were like, I'm grace for you too. You know, like the people that you're called to, that like there's space in their lives for you in the midst of what you got going on as well. So
and I think real friends cherish those moments. Like those moments mean everything. Like those FaceTime calls, or like even when we were sitting in the lobby the other day, your vulnerability to like it's almost like opening up a diary that you don't have to open. Nobody can force you to go to that place with somebody, but to be treasured in a way that you would choose to share your innermost, like stuff that you're just processing with the Father that's hard for you to love me like that. It speaks of value, and I don't know, I can't even give full language to what you do. Like, you know, like on one side you're thinking you're a burden, but what you're being is a gift. Like you're giving someone something that you can't even explain with words. Like what that moment or what those moments do for me is like, it helps remind me like why I'm called, why I'm called to the earth, and that it matters to be able to show up for my sisters and take trips and do the things that we get to do together, even if we have to plan hard to get them done. I think is absolutely necessary. And so I'm super grateful for those moments.
I think it's super hard to try to navigate life alone. Like even if you don't share everything, right? Like just having like what you said, like be praying with me in this thing, like being able to kind of like, because when I do that, it's almost like a little offload of something.
You know what I mean?
You know, like okay, somebody else is helping me like carry this. Somebody is praying, like, and knowing that person is like for real praying and like holding you, like it helps like a lot, because life it can be heavy sometimes. Like it can be really heavy. So to not have like at least a couple of people, 1 or 2 people that you can like rely on. Yeah, like I literally cannot imagine it. Like, I cannot recognize the Crystal years before who was like, she did not do females. I don't know how she got to this point.
And I wanted to just say in this conversation, someone that has had to pioneer and do things that I've never had a prototype and example for, had to live through some really difficult things, I think, with people. You both are always very much so voices of affirmation to remind me that the way I am and who I've been created to be is okay. Because I think it's one of the hardest challenges, or the thing that the enemy comes for. He's always trying to change you, to not make you authentically be who you've been created to be. You two both are very much so bulldogs in that area. Like, yeah, like, no, I don't care what comes or what goes. I'm going to be one to continue to say what I've said from the beginning. Like, who I saw at 17, I still see at 34. Like, that's huge. I don't want that to go without saying. And I pray that women watching this, like, the fruit of what comes by conversation and through affirmation, you can't get by yourself. And so if you're out there and you're watching and you're just like, like, I got this and I'm on my own, I don't trust nobody, I just want you to know there is somebody out there that will see you, that will nurture and protect the true essence of who you've been created to be, where you don't have to fake and give energy and do all these things that are unnecessary. That just be a friend. Like, there are real people out there that will really be there for you, and I mean, it's the fruit of it,
I thought about when we went to the beach house. Was it PT was working on Cross
album?
Yeah, he was working on an album, and that's when you first started talking about Exhale.
She was the one who came up with Dig Deep. Like, the name Dig Deep, which was, the Bible says, she was just like, she's like, I think Dig Deep would be cool, and it spoke to something in me. Like, you don't have to do it all by yourself. Like, these girls, they have incubated, pick my arms up. She used to make the little butt. I mean, it was like all the decorations that, I mean, it was the infantile stages of me, stretching in faith. But what I love is that it's not just my faith. It ignites your faith to see, like, there's more in me. And I always believe in that. In every platform, in every place I go, I will always champion women that come alongside me. Like, what voice do you have? What gift do you have? Yeah. I believe it's always supposed to continually unlock. And I think that's what good community does. It's not about one person. It's about a group of women moving forward together. And we really see that. Like, I have seen so many things. Dance, logistics, I mean, incredible just so many amazing things that come to the table when we partner to unify, to bring about God's will, because that's what it's really all about,
Yeah. I think that's the markings of a really good friendship, though. Like, one that pulls you to be the best.
Y'all coach with me.
That's how you know you got, like, a good friend. Like, she's not gonna let you just sit and settle for whatever, or for basic. Like, she's gonna constantly pull you to, like, be the best version of yourself, as tiring and exhausting as it may be, but like, she's not gonna let you just settle. Like, nothing's gonna be left on the table. And I think, I don't know, like, that's priceless.
It is.
It's like really priceless. And back to what you were saying about just affirming you, like, I feel like it's easy to affirm truth. Like, and you find that, like, in really good, healthy relationships, like when you are a true version of yourself, it's easy to affirm what's true about somebody. And like, everybody needs, like, some type of affirmation, like, at some point. Not that you're seeking it from man, but like, it's almost like a kiss from God. And like, yes, like, that's the truth of who you are. Like, let me let somebody on earth remind you. Like, like, that's where it is. So
God just brought this to me when you were talking. We need to speak about comparison. Because I think that's part of the reason why women don't love women well. It's very hard to stand beside another great woman without it making you feel less or whatever. How do y'all navigate seeing greatness in your sister, but still feeling like God has something unique in you to give?
I think the best way I could describe it is I try to go after, like, and attack it with truth. Like, because it's not easy and it doesn't come just like naturally, right? Like, I have to constantly be like, Keisha, you're enough. And it really does help when you are standing beside people who are sure in themselves. Because then they don't, like, it's like their light, they shine it so that it can be shown on you, not that anything is dimming yourself. But I think really being a bulldog about, like, Keisha, no, you are enough, and you celebrate. I think the more I celebrate and speak and affirm those things in you, then it's hard to be jealous. It's hard to have envy in your heart when you really, like, speak life. Like, what Crystal is the bomb. Like, I love how crunchy, like, like how holistic. I want to
the
be
girl want like
granola,
candles, and it wants all of that.
Like I love how she watches over her household. Listen, I'll be trying to take nuggets and stuff and go under the radar, but I love how much you keep things in order and you make sure you cross every T and dot every. But the more I do that, like it makes it so I can honor and celebrate them, and therefore like not feel like I have to be in competition. Like that's been my thing. I try to be a bulldog and attacking that.
Yeah, kind of similar to Keisha. A couple of years ago, your mama sent. I was like, it was this promotion like related to job, and this girl got promoted to a role, kind of not over me, but kind of over me.
Okay.
And I remember having a conversation with her, and she was like, "You be happy for her. Like what he has for you, what's gonna happen for you, it's gonna still come. But like you celebrate her. Good for her. Good." And I'm like, good for her. Like, no, that's my title. That's my money. Like, it's like
good.
I wrestled with it for like we got the call. I was like, oh yeah, mama, that's good, that's so good, thank you, like really. But I wrestled with that thing because I was like, be happy for her, and I had to like challenge myself, like no, like her having this moment is not a dig on me. It's not an attack on where I'm gonna get to or what's for me. Like mine is still mine, and mine can still be good, even great, even though it doesn't look like what hers does. So you can celebrate her while you wait for yours. And I think that's like that kind of changed my whole thing with comparison, because it was like, this person is incredible, but Crystal, you're still incredible. Like it just looks differently, or maybe it looks the same and it's slightly changed, but like you're still incredible, and it's okay to like be excited for their awesomeness while also still embracing yours. So,
and I always feel like when I think of other women, especially ones that I see own the true essence of who they are, I tell you all the time, and it's been, this is a random story, and I say it all the time, and I'm not gonna stop saying it. We were back in college, and I feel like you own authenticity and genuineness before me, in that you were unwilling to compromise even if it looked wrong to the world. Like we were in a very hyper spiritual environment, and like it was like going to the club and doing these things were wrong, but you wanted to do them, and you were unwilling to, even if it was wrong, to not do it because people wanted you not to do them. I fell prey to people pleasing, and I remember still, although I was loving the Lord, being in my room very much so like, I'm not just here because God wants me to be here. I'm here because I don't want people to talk about me. And it was like in my head, I would celebrate. Like I love that she would do it because she's gonna do it because that's what's in her heart to do. And it ain't no point in being home if you really just home for people, because what's in your heart is really still there, if that makes sense. And so I really appreciate what I was basically trying to get to. When I see those attributes, it always makes me hunger for them. Like when I used to see people cut their hair off, or when I see women walking authenticity, it draws me to them. Like it's not a repellent. It always makes me like, if they can do it, I can. Like I don't know. It's comparison has never really been a huge thing for me. It's always been like almost a magnet to like, I want some of that. But I do think it comes with a part of me believing that I can be the best version of me. So yeah, I think that adds.
Yeah, I think that's good. Like it's fine to see something in somebody and want that same attribute, but also still be true to yourself.
To how it's gonna show up in
how
you.
it's gonna be for you, not emulating them to be them, but yeah, a true version of yourself. I love that.
So there's a woman watching that has had terrible friendships, super hurt, just feels like she couldn't trust again. What would be your advice to her as to why she should try?
It's life-giving. The beauty of having people who you can be completely vulnerable with. They know who you are. They champion you and they celebrate you. It's nothing like it. And that you can trust the Father. I think more than just people, that He knows the people that will have your back, and you can trust leaning into Him. He'll guide you if you keep your heart open and be willing to try again. That it's worth it, even at whatever age you are, you know, even if you have experienced hurt, that it's worth it to have people that you know you can rely on, you can trust in, that you can show up for too.
Copy paste. The only thing I would add is that you'll need it. You may not feel like it today. You may not even see it. You may feel like, oh, I've made it this far. Like I haven't needed them yet. Like I was hurt. Like that was me. There will come a point in a time in your life where you will need somebody to lean on, where their words will be healing for you, where their words will be exactly what you need to keep going. And not that you're dependent upon them outside of the Father, but He will use them for you. So you will need it. So yeah, like Keisha said, trust the Father, be open to doing it, and allow Him to lead you to that safe place. Like they will be a safe place for you.
I think that this was what this Permission Talk episode was all about. One, not just talking about it, but modeling what real friendship looks like. We talked about lots of different people to bring to the table with regard to real friendship, but I didn't think it was anybody better to bring than the two people that I've walked most closely with, that seen my journey the longest. And to have you all here means everything to me, for the people, not just for, we have what we have, but I think showing women, like, you can be honest. We are champions of each other, but we are very honest with each other. We push each other. We love each other, but we are present and willing to do whatever it takes to show up for one another. And I think that's the heart of real friendship. And so for you watching out there, if you've given up, my challenge is, as you watched us cry, partly laugh, and just be silly, that you try again, because I really believe in the light of what Keisha said, trust in the Lord that He will lead you to the person in the friend group that is for you. You'll find fruitfulness, and it'll be great for your life. And so I hope this was edifying. I love y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Hey ladies, thank you for tuning in for this week's Permission Talk episode. We want to make sure that you stay connected to all things Dr. Jackie Green, so go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share. And while you're at it, go ahead and drop below your favorite moment from today. Also, we want you to know about Dr. Jackie Green's online Facebook community, Permission World. It's a great place for women all over the world to connect together and to grow in Christ. So go ahead, tap the link below to join in on the fun. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.